If you're a theater actor, you've probably heard the superstition that it is bad luck to whistle backstage. Ooh, it is so bad. Hey everybody, my name's Doug Fahl, and that really hurt. When you whistle backstage, terrible, horrible things can happen. People can get killed, slaughtered, like sheep. So where does this superstition come from? What are its origins? I know, maybe you could watch a YouTube video about it. Just an idea. The origins of this superstition go way back, all the way back to the 80s. Not that 80s, like one of the other 80s, like the 1680s or something like that. Back in those times, the crew members for theater shows were sailors working off season. Now, sailors on ships would communicate with each other to, fly those things and rigs and stuff like that, but they would communicate through a series of whistles, a little language of whistles. And so they would translate that to running a stage crew. Back then, electricity hadn't been invented yet, so they didn't have those fancy Bluetooth headsets with the little Madonna microphone to communicate with each other backstage. So they had to use other means, and whistling is how that happened. For instance, they might say, which means have that set piece ready to drop. And then they would say, which means drop that set piece. And then they might say, which means you look really hot in your sailor outfit. Kind of like an old school version of Twitter. They tweeted. So anyway, long story short, too late. If you were a lowly actor backstage and you happen to be whistling some tune, you might mistakenly cue one of the sailors to drop a sandbag on your head. And believe me, that hurts like a mofo. So the next time you find yourself whistling backstage, stop it. But wait, I have a couple bonus backstage things that you're never supposed to do. Superstitions, ooh. One is you're never supposed to wear a hat backstage. Now, why would you never wear a hat backstage? Seems kind of silly, right? What if it's your costume? My theory is that the brim of a hat or a big elaborate headdress blocks your view of things flying in from up above. So it's considered good etiquette to take your hat off when you're in the backstage area and then put it on just as you're about to enter. And another thing you're not supposed to do backstage, it's bad luck, is knitting. Now, when I do theater shows, everybody in the cast is knitting in the dressing room, but you're never supposed to knit backstage. Why? Well, probably because you miss your cue, you set your needles down, somebody steps on it, it goes right through their foot, and then they have to go to the hospital. Or, maybe because that little ball of yarn will roll out and then somebody will trip on the yarn and it'll get tangled up and then they'll bring it out on stage and then the knitting will follow them out on stage and everybody will laugh and it'll ruin the show, and that's the night that the reviewer is there. So now you know what not to do backstage. Don't knit, don't hat, and don't whistle. Bye!